welcome to the Assetto Corsa Competizione Sim Series. This is our Season 10, Round 1 of the Pro Split. Our throwback season to our first season where we're running all the same track to our new format. I'm Gareth Ronther, and sorry for the delay there. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome to the stream. Qualifying is already underway because I messed up and I still had my OBS set up for streaming the 24 hours of Spa. And so I just attempted to stream to YouTube for about 10 minutes before realizing and having to set everything up again. So hello, glad to have you with me. For those of you who don't know, we obviously have the original tracks from our first series, and a lot of people using original cars, or different cars at least. Yeah, I've been through all of this before to myself, and now I feel real stupid. But hello, Ollie Henley. Leading qualifying so far, 1:57.4, incredible time. He is in a McLaren. They will get to change their cars next race because the new update is coming out. However, these guys had all picked McLaren beforehand. They didn't all change to McLaren just to abuse this track. We got a decent mix of cars, honestly. Still a lot of Astons. Shane Thomas in the Aston, because that was his Season 1 car. There are a few people who've done that. I'm not sure about all of them. Mr. T in the Nissan, have to shout him out because that's a good car choice. It's an interesting, different one. Got Jonathan Chungle back. Robert Brenning still coming. No longer the only Audi. So we have this nice setup. And all the McLarens, thankfully, have picked different liveries as well. So, yeah, we shouldn't have any trouble deciding who is who. As I'll find a car that is near the top that is going to come round to start a flying lap soon, or we might just wait on board with Ollie Henley to do the traditional flying lap, even though I missed a lot of it in qualifying, unfortunately. Sorry about that as well. Thank you to everyone who's coming up. Probably have a few less people because of that mix-up, but we've already had a follow at the beginning of the stream as well, so that's good to see. We're going to be trying to stream more. We had a fun race on Friday, even with the issues, but it wasn't streamed. But we will be streaming it soon, hopefully. Saturdays and Sundays, of course, we will be here every week if you are new to here. And now we can hop on just as he goes into the pits. God damn him. Well, we'll hop on with Ashley Blumfield, who's also in McLaren, so we can pretend like nothing has changed. Coming into the straight. Hello, Vado. It's a very nice bird you've got there. Unfortunately, I'm on the ACCSS account, so I can't join you in the birds band, but coming through the first corner, very fast. Difficult to go side by side, but not actually impossible. Through Maggots, you just lift off, throw yourself into Beckett's. Beckett's, you need a little bit of a slowdown and an extra brake, and then catch yourself to get a good exit out of Chapel, because you're on one of the longest straight lines out of the race. Get to Stowe, fantastic corner where you can easily go side by side. You get some really good racing going on here. And then down into Vale, very tight corner, which is where these fights through Stowe come to end. Nice, quick, short shift normally to get yourself a good acceleration out of these corners. That's Club down the Hamilton Straight, then into Abbey. Just a little lift off there, get over the curb and immediately back onto the power. Is your full speed down to Village and Loop. Really important little part to get right. I'm sure we'll see some people diving on the inside here, but you can't really do that. Get some cutbacks as well. We can get some really nice racing through this section. Flat out through Aintree, just got to get a nice, good line so you turn in enough without turning in too far. And then big braking through Brooklands. Incredibly difficult section of the track. The place, honestly, where all lap times go to die as you come through Luffield and have to get on the power excruciatingly early to pull out down our start-finish pit lane here. Especially Bloomfield not improving on his time there, but very close to his time, so shows some good consistency. Ollie Henley, obviously in pole position in a McLaren. Marcel Kalb is in second place in the Audi. Huge shout-outs to him for keeping that car so far up there. And then Shane Thomas, just behind Ashley Bloomfield. Ian Harvey. My mouse is being annoying. Ian Harvey, and then Steve Donald. John Dudley and Dominic Ingall, who are still in their Bentleys. And Steve Hughes in another McLaren. Nicholas Alvarado in the Honda to round out the top 10. Just ahead of Jack Harvey, the only Lexus on the field, I believe. T in the Nissan, and then the first of our Porsches driven by Jamie Nuttall. And Niels Kuhl, the first and possibly only Ferrari down the bottom of the field. There is another Gret CP. I do know what the CP stands for, but I can't remember. He's DM'd me, so I do know what his full name is, but I can't remember. He didn't DM me so that I can remember his full name, so I don't feel too bad. Yes, hello. I'm going to get chat up again, because in the rush to fix my broadcasting mistakes. Jack Harvey with a small name. For sure. Petition for Ronda to drive a Honda. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Actually, I mean, it could happen. I drove it once at Suzuka and it was awful and I hated it. But, I mean, we are literally about to get physics changes, so you never know. It could get buffed, it could become really good. I hope it doesn't, because then Alvarado will win everything. But, you know. Jag is good. The Jag is much nicer to drive than the Porsche. You see, that sounds good when you mispronounce my name, but it's a Welsh word, and so it's pronounced th. So it's run th in the Honda, which doesn't quite rhyme as well. You have to misspell my name to get it to work. So we're not going to get a Ronda Honda anytime soon. Yeah. If you are watching this and you think, oh shit, I should correct my pronunciation of his name, listen, it's everyone can call me Ronda. It's fine. It's not a big deal. I knew everyone would mispronounce it, and so I accept that. Khalib coming out to try and get a last lap in. He's right on the edge here. I'm not sure he's going to make it. I think he's realised, yeah, he checked the time there as he was leaving and realised he wasn't going to make it. So he is stuck now on this lap time, a 1:57.492. Incredibly close to Ollie Henley's time, but he's not going to be able to put in something faster. So Ollie Henley safe from at least one of his adversaries so far. A lot of people setting times, and a lot of people have the opportunity to improve now because they are close, but not quite getting any of it. Ollie Moss here, he's looking on for an improvement. So is Steve Hughes. Both of these drivers have the best improvements so far. There's a lot of other people on just as 1/10 here and there. So we will have to look what we can get. Ollie Moss, we were just looking at, he goes up to 4th. Great improvement there. Steve Hughes is almost improving by as much, but loses some of it, as I said, there through Luffield. It always takes people's laps. Oh, and he hit the wall! Steve, what was that? You're on for an improvement, Steve! He hit the wall! Oh my god. Yeah, that's a shock face, that one. That's a shock face. That is That's a big one. That is a big one. So, he would have jumped so much as well. He was like 4 tenths up. He would have been in like 4th position. He would have been in like 4th position. Dominic Ingle improving his time. Niels Cool on to improve his time as well. A few others lower down looking. Dominic Ingle actually is starting to get a really good run through this middle part of the track. So he could jump up quite a bit as well. He's on about the same improvement Hughes was, and he's slightly further than Hughes already. But he still has to make it through Luffield. What's with the upsurge of McLarens recently, says Andre in the chat. This season is just incredibly good for the McLaren. That's what everyone was saying. You know, that's why people are going for it. I think Steve Hughes as well. I think he... so Ollie Henley said to me that he wanted to drive the McLaren because he's been driving harder to like stuff like the Porsche and sort of less traditionally good cars right now for a while, and so he just wanted to drive something that was solid. I believe Hughes is doing it because he drove the Macca in Season 1, so he has that excuse, and then Blumfield's just doing it because he drove the Bentley in Season 1 and he doesn't want to drive that again, so that is why. Obviously doing very well on Silverstone because it's absolutely busted here. Got Steve Donnell and Mr. T coming around. Who's actually... Steve Donnell is the first one who looks like he has a chance of improving. Actually, oh, there was a car that spun there on the last corner. David Cox is actually coming through. He's in 24th position right now. And he just jumped all the way up to 16th. So a huge improvement there in the last part of there. Steve Donald as well up to 3rd. Really, really good. And then Mr. T takes home that 10th position. Andre, there's absolutely no way the Aston is more busted around here than the McLaren. You're talking crazy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can argue it at a few other tracks, but not here. There's absolutely no way. Glad to see you though, and thanks for subscribing. We should add some more because we've got more space now, right? What's it called? We've got more what's it called space. Anyway. Exciting here, because as we come on, whoops, not mouse there, because we come onto the grid at Silverstone. Can you see it? Can you tell what the sky's doing right now? Oh boy, it's a rainy one. With Ollie Henley on pole in the McLaren. This does actually take a little bit of the McLaren power around this track away. People don't love that car in the wet. But he still has the best starting position from pole, with Marcel Kalb in the Audi in 2nd. It's going to be great to see him go around here, although that's going to start getting a bit scary in some of those fast corners as well. And Steve Donald in the Aston, who probably does have... he's probably happy that it's raining, because the Aston very stable. He should do good around here. Ashley Blumfield just behind him with Niels Cool, bringing one of the Ferraris at least right up to the top of the field. Ollie Moss in the 2nd of the Aston Martins. Amazing to say that we're this far back and there's only 2. Ahead of Dominic Ingle in the 1st Bentley. Shane Thomas in an Aston as he was in Season 1. Ahead of Harvey. That's not Jack Harvey. That's a different Harvey. That is Ian Harvey, who I believe is new, ahead of Mr. T in the Nissan. Nicholas Alvarado, the next Japanese beast, just behind him, ahead of Steve Hughes in the McLaren. Dudley in another of the McLarens. Nuttall, who is into a Porsche this season. Then we have Jack Harvey, Cox, Ressa, Cocking, Brenning. 2 Audis next to each other on the grid here. Buck, Galanos, Shungle, Jonathan Shungle, who's back with us. His brother will be giving him penalties today. Robu, Diggs, CP, Ascari, and Master. Just accidentally sort of drove through the car there. And now we're going to let them go onto their formation lap. It's a long one. So when they're done, we will see you back here.
Bring the smell of rain into my bed and lie so close to me. You could be inside my head. Maybe it's a once in a lifetime kind of thing. To feel the kind of magic that your love brings. Some days it's like a haunting. This cool empty space, far above and all around. When I start to miss your face. You live in me, my reverie. Don't ever leave. You live in me, my reverie. Don't ever leave. You live in me, my reverie. Don't ever leave. You live in me, my reverie. Don't ever leave. You live in me, my reverie. Don't ever leave. You live in me, my reverie.
Right, we are back. And we are in for an hour of racing around a soggy Silverstone circuit. Ollie Henley on pole, Marcel Cab lining up just beside him. A little bit of a space left behind the Ferrari of Niels Kool. That is for... Is that Ian Harvey who should be there?
Green light. Go,
The interesting spot. There's actually someone in the pits. That could be them. Anyway, well, there's one car in the pits. We're getting a run through the first turn. Little bit of a tap side by side of Ollie Henry and Carl Kalb is sent out wide, but is still doing okay. We're going to keep an eye on this while we look further back in the field. So they're still side by side going through Maggots and Beckett's, which is very hard. There's a McLaren going off there, which I think is Steve Hughes, judged on the livery. Jonathan Schungel here, side by side with one of the Audis. And everyone gets through there pretty cleanly. So no huge issues so far. We have the Audi at the front there. Neil's very close, still fighting with Henley at the front there. As our broadcasting starts to even out now, we can see that it was Brenning, I believe, that was going side by side with Jonathan Schungel, but just ahead of them, Reina Ressa is side by side with Cox. These two going absolutely hard for this one. Ollie Henley still in front, in the lead. Nothing has gone too wrong for him. Ashley Bloomfield in third position. Steve Donald, Ollie Moss fighting reasonably close in their two Aston Martins, fourth and fifth, with Niels Kuhl following up. Real close battling here behind. We've got a huge pack. Mr. T there. Just behind it was Steve Hughes, who's just got past, but Steve Hughes was the one who's gone off. Mr. T pushing Alvarado a little bit towards the grass there. He also did have, I believe, one of the Bentleys, Dominic Ingle, who must have made some sort of mistake on the formation lap and started from the pits. I had to do the same thing in my rookie race, unfortunately, after our restart, so I feel that pain. We have 88 Thomas Ascari, who's been sent round. We're going to have to go into the replay to see what happened there. We'll keep an eye on the outside world, thanks to Tom Tweedy, who's given me some cameras. So is it just going to be, there's three Porsches here at the back, so not doing well. Is it just going to be Porsche things through here? It looks like it is. Gets on the curb, just loses himself, and is thrown onto the grass. Doesn't touch the wall there though, so not too bad for him there. He has lost a lot of time though. He's going to have to get back up the front at some point. Got a side-by-side just further down with Mr. T and Alvarado. It's also quite close with Steve Hughes and Liam Harvey. Steve Hughes going up the inside into Stowe. Can't see exactly where he is thanks to the camera, but he has got around there. Oh, Lexus looking for a bit of a dive as well. That's Jack Harvey, who was going for the inside into Vale. He now has Jamie Nuttall getting around him. Jamie Nuttall has just squeezed ahead, and now Reina Ressa threatening him. A big drift there from the Lexus, which is going to go really wide off the track. Tries to come on without tapping. Reina Ressa has to settle for going in behind him. So lots of fighting still going on in the middle of the field. Jamie Nuttall here, looking to go on the inside of Mr. T through Aintree, but that's never going to happen, really. Alvarado, now another one to take Ian Harvey. Ian Harvey falling back a few places there. Oh, but there's a spun car. Is that Ollie Henley? That looks like Ollie Henley. He's having to wait for the whole field to go fast. What happened to him? Here he is coming down that back straight. He's just going to bin it himself. He does. He just loses the back end. Audi goes into the lead, and the rest of the field just streaming past him as he's sitting on the curb. That is really awkward. Actually, during this, yeah, you just saw Alvarado got re-overtaken by Ian Harvey there for a little bit. So that is a nightmare, and he is now right back near the back as well, only ahead of the three Porsches. Porsche really not performing in these wet conditions here, but that leaves the lead of the race up to Marcel Cal in the Audi. Ashley Bloomfield sticking nice and close to the back of this car. Doesn't want to give him any chance. We're also seeing Jack Harvey back trying to push Jamie Nuttall. Oh, big hit of curb there in our little box for Jack Harvey. He gets thrown around. Oh, and he's gotten wide again. Jack Harvey not doing great in the wet. Let's have a better look at what's happening to him now, because he is now almost 3 wide there with Reina Ressa, and I believe that's Dudley in the number 11 Bentley. He manages to stay ahead of them, but has lost positions to T and to Jamie Nuttall. Reina Ressa getting ahead of Dudley as well through there. Dudley had to get out of the way, and we've got an out in the background. That's Robert Brenning going slightly wide. He's now side by side with the Ferrari of CP. We haven't seen anyone pit now, but the pit window is open. Pit window has been extended this season to allow more people to pit when is good for them. It still keeps first lap incidents punished by you having to drive around for 5 minutes with that damage if you want to get the pit window, but it allows for more levels of strategy, so I am a big fan of this change. Got a nice little battle near the back as well. Cameron Ralston there going a little bit wide, almost letting Galanos through, and there's Ollie Henley. Ollie Henley obviously going to be trying to do a bit of a comeback race here. He's already side by side with Galanos, but he has Marston in front of him who's going with Cocking. Automod just tried to stop Andre from hyping Cox. God bless. Automod, so we're seeing in our box there Ashley Bloomfield chasing down for the lead. Gonna have to keep a little bit of an eye on that as we watch people like Ollie Henley cruising through the field. Ashley Bloomfield actually made a mistake there and let Donald through. And then on our main screen we've seen someone off to the side there as well. Can't quite catch exactly who that is, but as we come through the loop we will see them dropping down the order. There it is, it was Cocking, Joseph Cocking in the Audi down to 23rd, and Robu now in the Porsche going in to pit for new tyres. It's going to be a very heavy Porsche, which in the Porsche isn't too bad. So hopefully he'll be pretty stable. The forward, Ollie Moss here. He's now the Aston pushing on Ashley Bloomfield with Shane Thomas just behind him going wide there as Jack Harvey side by side with Jamie Nuttall in the small image there. It doesn't look like he quite made that, but having a good move of it. 690 is around. That is Reina Ressa. Let's see what happened with him. Going to be the curb on the inside here. He doesn't look like he's close to anyone else. There you can see Jack Harvey and the Porsche that we were just looking at, the onboard shots of going, and yeah, oh, big snap. Big snap. That is definitely not something you're used to seeing in the Audi, or in the Aston. Gets going pretty quickly, but that's a chunk of damage onto his bonnet there. Here we have CP just behind Cox and in front of Brenning. Neil's cool. Being pressured by Alvarado now. He's just lost the position to Steve Hughes. Alvarado looking for the inside. Niels gives him room, but Alvarado just doesn't quite have his wheel out there. He's going for that wider line to try and get a good exit, but Cool had a decent exit himself, so he's going to push forward. Alvarado is definitely looking aggro. He wants to take this yellow Bumblebee Ferrari. Hey Hingy, oh, as we're getting a dive there from Alvarado, making it stick. Better than the last Honda we saw trying to go side by side through there, although it wasn't his fault. But good job there from Alvarado. Yeah. We probably won't manage to do Fridays, unfortunately, but Saturdays and Sundays, 7 PM UTC. We will always be here. Obviously, hit up that follow if you want to get those notifications. And I probably should set up a proper in-Twitch schedule. But we won't always be here. We try to make every week, and with Sundays, we can normally be pretty consistent. But some of the other days, being a small team, we try and get there. Why not Fridays? Just because it's hard to have enough people to do all of them. Myself and Roy, who commentate most of the time, we do Saturdays and Sundays. We are not available for Fridays. And Paul Glover, who is our other commentator, also isn't available for Fridays right now. Ollie Henley making a dive here on Marstrom. Oh, Marstrom just spun out. Oh, Marstrom. That's a hard place to make a move. But Marstrom just brakes on the wet curb and gets absolutely thrown around into the corner. That's an awkward one. So he's setting out now again further back. Mr. T and Jack Harvey here now battling for a position. There's the car behind them. Is that Jamie Nuttall just heading into the pits? Yep. Further back here we have Jonathan Shungle, who is in between Henley and Buck. He is Henley's new target. Oh, I already had that spin up. Ollie Henley, obviously, after that spin from the lead, is trying to make his positions back up. Looked a little bit for the inside there on Stowe, actually going really wide there, out onto the exit curb. Gotta hope he doesn't get any sort of punishment from the game for that. 5-second back on Ray Naresso for an incident that I'm not sure we saw. Alvarado still chasing Steve Hughes. Did you miss much, Richard Christie? No, not a huge amount. There's been a few spins. The rain has been testing a few people, especially the Porsches, as you can see. And Ollie Henley spun out from the lead of the race going into Brooklands. So, not too much drama yet, but we've got some nice racing going on. Marcel Kalb in the Audi is leading the race from Steve Donald now, who overtook Ashley Blumfield. Ollie Moss has not been able to follow him through as we get Roy Weller in. Hello, Roy Weller, and all of your buddies. Thank you for joining us. For any of you who don't know who we are, this is ACCSS, rookie-focused league. This is our pro split, however, so definitely not rookies in this split. So we're watching SRO America's own Nicholas Alvarado trying to chase down Stephen Hughes. Shane Thomas there feels he needs to go defensive from the McLaren behind him. Trying to go for the inside. Very close here from the three of them. Side by side, very, very hard through club. They are just going to make it by Shane Thomas staying right on the outside. Trying to make it 3 wide is Nicholas Alvarado, but he backs out of it just before the corner. Allows the other two to carry on. Kalb is the Audi god. Yes, maybe he can take the, at least in this split. Here we go. Alvarado looking for a move on Steve Hughes. Steve Hughes in this awful position that we talk about so much, where he's stuck between 2 cars. So if he fails to make a move on the car ahead, the car behind will be looking to make moves. Alvarado just putting his nose in there, try and fake Steve Hughes out a little bit. Really close through the entry of Luffield. So not a great exit there from Alvarado. Took it a little bit safe. Still pressuring as we're going through Maggots and Beckett's. Having a look further back, Dudley and CP having a little bit of fight. There's a couple of other fights going on. Way further back, Cameron Marston, who has pit, is fighting with Rainer Ressa. Stop go 30 for Joseph Cocking, who must have sped in the pit lane. Hughes is now back on the back of Shane Thomas as well. Shane Thomas a bit of the cork in the bottle here, it seems, unfortunately. Marcel Kalb in the Audi has taken a nice bit of a lead from the next couple of drivers, doing nice and consistent, whereas Ashley Bloomfield is still on the back of Steve Donald, giving him a little bit of pressure, not nearly as much as our friends Shane Thomas and Steve Hughes are taking. But yeah, it's a good point. We're actually, if this carries on like this, we could be seeing our second Audi victory of the week, which would be very exciting. Very upsetting that I'm no longer in it as well, if they're really that good around here, of course. So Alvarado still on the hunt in this little group, fighting for 5th position as well, so not slacking. Ollie Moss in a little bit of a no man's land between Thomas and Bloomfield, these 2 battles that are going on further up. Hop into further back in the field, another Audi. Robert Brenning here is pressuring David Cox. Just up the head of the road is Dudley. We've been asked to have a little look out there for Richard Christie. He's just behind CP. We can see just there in the background, actually, coming up behind this battle with Brenning, that is Ollie Henley, the man who qualified on pole. He is once again out for blood. Further up the field, Steve Donald, Ashley Bloomfield staying very close as well. Normally I'd like to be positive at the chances of drivers in our split, but as someone who drove the Audi at Spa not long ago, all of the Audis will die at least once at Spa. That's just going to happen, unfortunately. We've got to keep an eye down there on Ollie Henley to see when he catches up to the back of that Robert Brenning-David Cox fight. As Alvarado, he's close enough for a run down onto Steve Hughes right now. Putting himself in there, and he is going for it. Nice dive. Is he going to manage to stop it in time? Cut back from Steve Hughes. Absolutely fantastic. And now he is back into that position. A little bit wide there from Steve Hughes, but he does fine, even on the wet track. We have a back marker who spun, but he's actually returned to pits there. I think it was one of the Porsches, unfortunately, was it? No, Cameron Marston. Cameron Marston, unfortunately. Is it? Cameron Marston? Oh, no, I can't click on him because he is lap. That is why, yeah. So, a couple of people not doing well on the slippery racetrack. Where has Mr. Robert Brenning gone as well? Looks like Mr. Robert Brenning might have made a bit of a mistake, because he is quite far behind. Two ahead of him now. Ollie Henley right onto the back of Mr. Cox. There is no punishment for leaving races early. We don't want to keep people trapped if they're not having fun. But we are going to, you know, if you are just causing incidents and then dipping out the server, then obviously it will be looked at. But if you're just having a bit of a mare and giving up, can't be too on that. Nicholas Alvarado diving into the pits there. So nice strategy there from the Honda driver. Felt like he could be faster, and so he's going to dive in. Not far away from halfway either, so could be some pretty efficient fuel use. Going for the undercut is always tricky in ACC, but it is possible if you feel like you are being slowed up. We've got two groups here fighting into Stowe. Ashley Blumfield still following Ollie Moss, and Steve Hughes going to try and go around the outside of Shane Thomas, getting right to the bumper. But now Shane Thomas has that outside line. Is Hughes going to dive on the inside? No, defended from Shane, but he is going to try and go around the outside. That's not going to happen. So he's just right at the bumper, pushing him. He's sort of under pressure, but it's a very different type of pressure now. In terms of on track, he can be a bit more aggressive because he doesn't have to worry about any sort of, as Cool just gets past Bloomfield there. Bloomfield making a bit of a mistake, it seems. Where did he drop down to? Yeah, he is still ahead, but he's dropped way back from Ollie Moss there. So is he actually just in front of these guys now? I think he's just in front of these guys. He's behind. No, he is behind. So Ashley Blumfield losing a couple of places there, 3 places. So yeah, Thomas, Steve, and Cool there. So now Steve Hughes can be more free to be aggressive to Shane without having to worry about losing a position for it. But at the same time, he still has to be thinking quite a bit about his times. There we go. He's going to reply to Alvarado. He doesn't want to get caught out, slowed behind Shane Thomas, and have Alvarado speeding back for a run at him. Alvarado now leading the drivers who have not pit. And also, you can see there Ashley Blumfield has head into the pits as well. So we have both of those McLarens who were up front into the pits. So Alvarado is coming to the end. Steve Hughes didn't become stationary for his pit stop very long ago. So we can see here the pit stop happening. That looks like the Audi of Kalb just leaving. And Alvarado is starting his ascent on the back straight. There we go. Steve Hughes has left, so he does just get out. And Ashley Blumford going as well. There's Alvarado. You can see in the little picture there. He's coming up, and he is going to slot in behind Steve Hughes again. So a good response by Steve Hughes has kept him out ahead of Alvarado. Alvarado not having the outlap that he needs. And fresher tyres, hopefully he can catch up to the back of Steve Hughes, but now he still has to overtake all over again, and this time Steve Hughes isn't behind another car himself. Very close here between Dudley and CP. CP looking really aggressive, trying to get on the inside into Village, and it looks like he's managed to do it. Nice, really good move there from CP. So Steve Donald is now leading this race from Ollie Moss, with Shane Thomas going as well. Shane Thomas, I believe, I mean, obviously it depends on how much fuel he has, but assuming that he has enough fuel, he shouldn't react anytime soon to the drivers behind him, because they seemed to have the pace on him slightly in equal conditions. So he needs to take advantage of having less fuel on board and push for the rest of this stint, to hope to use that smaller fuel load to come out ahead. Mr. T in the Nissan catching up to Harvey is good to see. And then Ollie Henley in his McLaren is catching up to that fight that we were just looking at before. Sorry about that. I need to mute these notifications. I'm going to mute notifications from the group chat, from all the group chats, because for some reason group chats that are normally dead have decided to just pop up as we're doing the stream. Sorry about that. So apparently dongs was a word that Automod didn't want you using. Oh, whoa, we just saw that. Ian Harvey catches a big slide there and goes flying off the track onto the grass a little bit there, gets thrown to the side, and Mr. T is now moved ahead. Mr. T, that is up into 5th position. Ollie Henley, where is he? Because he has just taken Dudley and is now on the back of CP, who's starting to pull away a little bit. And they now have Ian Harvey onto the back of them as well. Also, there's one pit. One of the cars there, looks like number 23 of CP, is diving into the pit, so he doesn't want to be taken by Ollie Henley. And Henley can now chase Jack Harvey up to 7th place, but obviously has not pit, so doesn't have 7th place overall on the track. got a few more people pitting, mostly people further back in the field. Still have obviously a long time to go in the pit window. We'll really get to see how far some of these people fueled early. Oh, Harvey, that didn't go well last time you went out there. This has given Ollie Henley a chance to try and make something of it. Is he going to get to slide in the inside? He is, because Harvey messing up his braking going too close. And lets Ollie Henley through. John Dudley now can get right onto the back of Harvey as well, see if he can make anything happen. So Ascari down here has come out of the pits just in front of car number 4. Who is that? Isn't that is actually Steve Donald, who is the leader right now, and he is just behind Rainer Aressa. There he is, letting the leader by. Ollie Henley pulls away from Ian Harvey and John Dudley. And Ollie Moss is also starting to catch Steve Donald at the front of the field. Galanos and T into the pits. Really want to wait to see. The ones I'm most interested in seeing is Ollie Henley and Shane Thomas. Obviously, Shane Thomas trying to come out ahead of Hughes and Alvarado with that longer run. And then, obviously, Henley on the comeback from his spin early on. It'll be interesting to see really how far he has managed to climb back up the field. Much better around the corner. That's the corner bit that's been doing Ian Harvey some troubles. But no troubles this time. What has happened to Jonathan Shungu? Has he run out of fuel on the way into the pits? No. Okay. Is this another Shungle DIY wheel breakage? Is this... I don't know. And there, just behind him, that's Shane Thomas. So, in this little window, we can see the battle that has reignited between Nicholas Alvarado and Steve Hughes. And then here, we can see the pits. Now, this might not be the best quality, but if we do it around this way, then we get to watch the battle in the big screen. Actually, doesn't look so bad there. It looks much better there than on my preview. That's good. Oh, and he goes wide. He keeps his foot in and keeps the time, and then he comes right over the track to block Alvarado. Looks like a little bit of a touch there. That was a bit of a swerve there from Steve Hughes, but amazingly he managed to get over the side of the track. Still ahead of Alvarado, even though he would have lost some momentum there. So here are the pair coming through the last corner. A little bit of a wiggle there from Alvarado. Shane Thomas is starting to leave. And he is going to get out in front of them. So as a wise man once said about this game, in fact many times said, in ACC it's all about the overcuts. And Shane Thomas proving that perfectly by coming out in not ahead of Kalb. That is the timing not updating yet. But he has come out just behind Kalb with the superior strategy, as I have said many times before. So Ian Harvey now being pressured by John Dudley further up the field amongst those who have not pit. The next interesting pit spots are going to be Steve Donald, who has just dived into the pits, and Ollie Moss, who has just taken over the lead. Because these two are also very far up the field. It's going to be important to see how far back they fall. Cool as well, Niels Cool and Ollie Henley. Probably sit on board with John Dudley so he can see the McLaren in front of him. I mean, either over or undercut should only work if you're consistent. You should only be better than someone if you are consistent. But the point is that just mathematically with how it works, the overcut should always be better in a vacuum. And then that should be your default approach, is what I'm saying. And then undercuts are situational. If you're not fast enough to pull off an overcut, you're also not fast enough to pull off an overcut. Alvarado here, still chasing down Steve Hughes. Exactly midway through the race is also good. So that's sort of the default, right? That's what just makes sense. I think a little bit later than default. In the real, like in a vacuum, pitting exactly midway is optimum. But in a real race, you're never going to be able to do full pace early on. There's always going to be some concertina slowing you down. So I think you should always probably start with a little bit overfueled at least. Got a few battles still going on over here. Ooh, Steve! What was that? So, in the replay, Steve Hughes battling with Alvarado. Having a little bit of a wiggle. Going into loop. And, yep, just goes around on his own. Immediately jumps over the curb to get back in. But that is Ashley Bloomfield past him as well. Steve Hughes now back in 12th place. So Cool here is being pressured by Ashley Bloomfield, who is trying to push past. Both of these guys just got a free position on Steve Hughes, who you can see there in the background just following them in. Very aggressive there from Ashley Bloomfield, showing what he's going to do and just throwing it into the corner, getting ahead of Niels Cool. Good job there. We'll see if Steve Hughes can do him quite as quickly. Moss and Donald have positioned themselves back onto the field behind Calb. So back into the places they were, just a little bit ahead of Shane Thomas on the road. Harvey and Buck, the last two to pit. Ollie Henley, after his pits, is just behind Jack Harvey. These guys, but 10 seconds behind the battle we are watching now. So still got a little bit of time to go. For those who are part of the Cracked Racing gang, Also got to shout out Jamie Nuttall, who driving the Porsche this season is now pushing behind Mr. T, who's moved from the Bentley to the Nissan. Great to see more people representing Godzilla himself. Nuts out for Nuttall, all of those memes. All good. 14th place, not bad, especially considering he ditched a car which is great round here and difficult in the rain for one that is not great round here and is also still difficult in the rain. So very much outperforming the other Porsches today. Good job from him. He was cool, another cracked racing guy. His first time in ACCSS. Pressured now by Steve Hughes, taking a bit of a defensive line, staying on the right hand side of that, but dipping in for the racing line when Steve Hughes is going to follow him. They're now side by side as Steve Hughes absolutely throws it up the middle. Nice move by Hughes again. Cool has a chance to make some sort of aggressive dive back into the next corner, but he is not going to. Got his rain light on as well, which other people don't have, so good on him for that one. 12 minutes left of this pit window, and only Ian Harvey and Sean Buck left to pit. Marcel Karb is still in the overall lead of this race, but that lead is no longer as dominating as it used to be, with Ollie Moss only less than a second behind him. Then the other two Astons, nice stable crafts behind him. Haven't seen any of them spinning like the McLarens have. We've seen every McLaren have a spin on their own now, I believe. So that sort of proves what we were saying before about as good as the McLaren is around here. It's not the biggest fan of the rain. So Ian Harvey into the pits now. He's going to lose that position to Marcel, Ollie, Steve, Shane and the rest. Which leaves Sean Buck out in the lead for now. All very wide there from Ollie Moss, but you can go wide there and still keep a good bit of pace in. Up here. We're going to look back from his rear wing. So fight for the lead may be coming soon. Further back, John Dudley and Direct CP are still fighting. Robert Brenning closing up on this battle. Actually, it's Liam Harvey there, who's just about to lap those. Robert Brenning a little bit further behind. So must have made a bit of a mistake there. Into the last 15 minutes of the race. Sean Buck going real long. See if this can get him a good position. He started in 19th position on the track. John Dudley has gone around Direct CP. I think they were the other way around last time we saw them, but those two just still battling constantly. Oh, Direct, big dive into Village. Gets the move done, slowing each other down, and now they're going to have Harvey wanting to get by. Harvey, that is actually for position though. The timings just hadn't updated last time we saw them, so Dudley losing that position and now in threat of losing another one to the McLaren behind him. Over up, Ollie Moss still on behind there. You could just see there Donald and Thomas in the back of shot there. So none of these guys too far apart, and it's not long behind them until you get Nicholas Alvarado. Bit of a drop back to Ashley Bumfield and Steve Hughes. We're still racing each other in those McLarens just ahead of Niels Kuhl. There in the bottom right is the race between those two McLarens. Absolutely, lots of support right now for Marcel Carr, both from the Audi gang and just from people who don't want to see any more Aston domination. We see enough Astons around. Possibly changing this Wednesday. Very excited to see if that will happen, although I doubt the changes will be too big. It could change things up a bit. Oh, and a little bit loose there, the Ferrari. All three of these guys now going into Village very close together. The Bentley is on the inside, so CP has to give him a little bit of room. Ian Harvey is now getting really close up, and he's going to have a good exit out of here. Is the Ferrari so tight that he's going to get a bad exit? He's going to be going side by side through here. So what has to happen here is that they both need to, either one needs to back out, or they both need to take a little bit of extra space. The Bentley backs out, and that slows him down enough that Harvey is now side by side with him, going down into Brooklands. Just brake a little bit later, keep it tight on there, and Harvey being a little bit too careful, or no, Dudley being a little bit too careful is going to fall behind Harvey there, and now Robert Brenning catching up to this group as well, as they're surely going to continue to fight. Further up the field, we're getting really close here with Carb and Ollie Moss. Ollie Moss is going for the inside, but had to just brake a little bit extra there as Marcel was coming over into that corner. They get through, but this is really putting on a run for the lead here is Ollie Moss. Ashley Blumfield also fighting it out with Steve Hughes. And Ollie Henley catching up to Jack Harvey. So we have a ton of battles going on. Ollie Moss super aggressive as well. He's just throwing himself into these corners. You can do that, honestly, in Village and Loop especially. You don't lose a huge amount of time for being offline. They're quite interesting corners in that you can take a lot of lines without losing too much. So you really can threaten, you know, little pucks as well. Steve Hughes really was threatening. It looks like he even tapped Ashley Blumfield there just a tiny bit. Just a 0x in iRacing terms. Coming in there as we have Ollie Moss still chasing Carl for the lead. Very defensive there from Steve Hughes. Doesn't want to give, or from Ashley, sorry, doesn't want to give Steve Hughes any chances. Nuttall and T crashed. Oh no. How'd they both do out of it? Nuttall is down to 12th. T is down to 17th. No, not in the Nissan. Oh, that is that's an upsetting one. Thanks for notifying me of that, Dane. I'm sure some of the crack guys are streaming this. I know there's a load of people in their individual streams. Shout out to all those guys as we're now side by side for Donald and Moss. These two behind the leader, still scruffling themselves. Buck has finally pit, which means that we're seeing the actual order as it is. It'll be interesting as well to see how far Buck has made it in this race. Buck is 22, so he's a lot further down than it suggests so far. I think he's in 17th, just behind T. Which is still an improvement from his qualifying position, so not bad there. And look at this, these are all for position. He's fighting for the lead, so any moves that don't make it on the last lap could really cause some trouble. Because this is the top four now. The Audi cab with an Aston train behind him and the Honda just clinging on for dear life. So on board with Alvarado for a little bit. Watch this train of cars coming through from behind. A little bit wide there by Ollie Moss. Sort of concertinas everybody into Luffield. Well, we're looking at some of these as well. Yep, Brenning has gone into 14th position as head of Harvey and gained a position from T falling down. We also have a few more battles coming with this Ashley-Steve Hughes battle that's still going on. And then Ollie Henley, Jack Harvey, who are also really close together. We actually have a back marker here as well. That could be interesting. Looks like one of the Porsches, Octavian Robu, is just ahead. We'll have to see how this affects things. Hopefully he can get out of the way and not cause any issues with our leaders. Also Cobb going much tighter there than Ollie Moss. Porsche, oh, just sitting into the middle of these guys. Donald doing everyone a favour there, scaring the Porsche out of the way, which allows himself, Thomas and Alvarado through. But now the Audi jumping to the racing line extra early. Five minutes left that he needs to keep everyone else behind him.
Entry door is now closed.
Moss putting his nose in there, but not going to go for anything, just trying to threaten. He does lose a little bit of time doing that in that corner specifically. Now, like I said, very easy to do so and not lose time here. And this big train. Alvarado taking a little bit of an alternative line to try and get a better exit. A lot of chug in that Honda. But the Audi's absolutely not struggling on the straights either. The other two battles that we had further back in the field have cooled off a little bit. Steve Hughes and Ollie Henley falling a bit off of Ashley Bloomfield and Jack Harvey respectively. As it's Kalb's turn to go a little bit wide. Ten seconds coming in for Jamie Null, 5 seconds coming in for Mr. T. The fact that they both got penalties after having an incident together makes me think that one of them had a bad rejoin. No, it seems that they just had an absolute hellscape with each other. Interesting. Steve Donald just peeking his nose out again. Not letting Ollie Moss settle down and push on further, these two teammates. Oh, but now getting threatened a little bit by Shane Thomas. I don't think that will make any difference going into that corner. But Shane Thomas there put himself into a tiny bit of threat from Alvarado. Alvarado there looking on Shane Thomas. Shane Thomas going defensive. Not quite side by side into Brooklands and through Luffield. Shane Thomas now obviously with that inside. It's now the final lap, so there's going to have to be some lunges if anything is to be made. We're on board with Alvarado in the right. We're off board with Ollie Moss on the left. Checking out both of these little battles. Any mistakes in any of these last lap moves could cause a ton of change in the order with how close all of these guys are. Ollie Henley still struggling to chase down Jack Harvey. Steve Hughes falling back a little bit from Ashley Bloomfield. So this is where all the action will be happening. Shane and Alvarado there going side by side. That was one too far back. Oh, but Alvarado's really wide, and that is not a good line round there. You can go a little bit wide on exit, but he was wide even before he got to that corner. So that has thrown him off slightly. Back to focusing on Ollie Moss. Can Ollie Moss go for the move? We have the alternate windscreen wipers going on for both of these. Around loop for the last time. Ollie Moss here. I think this is his last chance. It's all about getting the good exit from there. Obviously, the pull of the Aston is horrendous as usual. But the Audi's got a good line out. He also went a bit tight. He's nowhere near enough to make a move, is he? He's nowhere near close enough to make a move. And that is probably going to spell the end of the race for our Mr. Hughes here. Now as they come through to finish, Marcel Kalb takes the first race of the season.
Has finished the race.
Whoops. Well, as Alvarado just spins on past us, we will set up a camera for the end of the race, seeing more people just ballooning past us. A little bit of a last lap battle here between CP and Dudley in the bottom corner, who we can see that they have absolutely never been allowed apart from each other. She overtaking someone who spun. Their car 47 is around. Not sure who that is, but it looks like it was a back marker as they come around the last corner. CP leading that little battle home. here we get most of our drivers finishing. So, huge shout outs to the Audi for winning. Yeah, great race by Carb. All of the McLarens qualifying well, but just not able to keep it on the track for the entire race in these slippery conditions. Vast instability coming into it. And just a few cars left to finish. We will be on to seeing the results. So huge shouts to everyone driving today. Thank you everyone for watching. It's been very good to have you here. Welcome to all of our new viewers, both from the the ACC directory and that Roy flew towards us. I was still in game there. That Roy flew towards us from your F1 race. I hope your F1 race was good. And there we go. We finally can have a look at the order. So Kalb is leading from Moss, Donald, Thomas, Alvarado, Blumfield, Hughes, Cool, Henley, and Harvey are your top 10, with CP Dudley, Brenning, the other Harvey, Ian Harvey, and Jamie Nuttall taking the last points paying positions. Shouts out to Tom Tweedy for providing me with a second camera. Really makes things very nice and easy to film when that's happening. And yeah, so for those of you again who are new here, this is ACCSS. We're at Rookie Focus League, but this is obviously our pro split. We're going to be streaming every Saturday and Sunday, hopefully, and maybe even Fridays later in the season. So make sure to get followed and come back here for the race. We will also be having community races within the week, so come and sign up to our Discord if you want to join in with those. Going to be doing as much racing as we can on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, I'm sure, because the new car and the new settings and all that is coming out. So as we finish the stream, let's go over to Onid Racing and watch some more sim racing action. Thank you very much for coming, and we will see you all soon.